Zentrix AI, the advanced AI-powered trading platform for every trader. Everything you need for trading success. Research, strategy, automation, all in one platform. Right strategies in plain language. We build the bots. Forex, crypto, stocks, futures, every market. Trade smarter, not harder. Zentrix AI.
Okay, what's up people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Drop a like, subscribe, check out the Discord, links in the description to that. You can find updates there, share ideas, join the community, go check it out. Of course, you just saw the new intro that is for Zentrix project, which we are working on, which is coming out very, very soon. Again, if you're very interested to see how AI can help improve your trading, what tools you can generate with AI, whether you're looking at automated trading bots, trading strategies, developing different indicators, back testing, or improving strategies as well, is definitely something to look into. And I will actually drop the link to the Telegram group if you want to stay more up to date with any updates. That is the Telegram link to check out. But what is up people, welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is well. Okpak, I'm just going to say Okpak. I'm probably going to butcher your name. I probably already have, so I do apologize for that. But what is up? Another day, another great stream. I really appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying the stream, drop a like. It does really help out, but I do appreciate that kind message. What's up, Dima? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Welcome. Hope you're doing good. Yes, well, every weekday, Monday to Friday, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. But yeah. So, as always, guys, we'll go through USD side of things first. Take a look at DXY, USD majors, gold, and silver. Any requests, let me know. Any particular pairs you're after, want to see my analysis to, or just want my opinion, drop in the chat. Of course, any particular time frames, let me know as well. But let's get into it. So, first things first, we'll take a look at the dollar. So, USD, we did see a bit of weakness yesterday. Nothing crazy. Price still kind of fading at the lows here. Again, momentum is a little bit drying up, and that's the key thing, which is why I'm not looking to short the dollar. Yes, the market's still bearish. Yes, we're still very consistent with lower lows and lower highs. So definitely from an intraday point of view, shorts look good. We mentioned yesterday perhaps a retest of this area for a pullback. We do have a bit of a gap there in the market from the open of the week. Was that the open of the week or open of yesterday? No, that was open of Tuesday actually. So we do have a bit of a gap there. Price could potentially go and fill, retest prior structure, and perhaps be on its way. So I do like the shorts from an intraday point of view. I think a pullback and some downside, looking to follow that momentum, makes a load of sense. But the key part of that is intraday timeframes, lower timeframes, because I wouldn't want to be holding short dollar with how corrective we are looking and how tired we are looking. The price, yes, could still fall and then go lower, but with how corrective we are looking, I do think a bigger up move is very much on the cards. Now, the thing with that is that we could still stay bearish for another week or two before that up move does come around. So again, intraday, I think there'll be shorts in the meantime. But from a swing position, from a swing trader, you're kind of just waiting patiently, or you're dropping to the lower time frames to take advantage of those moves. I was looking to see this week if we could break structure. We didn't. We respected the high very well, aggressive reaction, and that has given us this bearish move. Now, price is respecting support at the moment. Again, would I be looking to buy the dollar? No, there's no kind of initial change in structure. Price hasn't taken out any significant highs. I wouldn't try and anticipate double bottom here, just because there's a very good probability we do break through the lows here. So I wouldn't be trying to buy the dollar. I can see, yes, we are respecting support. We might see a bit of an up move, based on that reaction, based on that rejection. but I would still fancy us to see lower prices still. So dollar's still looking bearish. Likelihood is that we are likely to stay bearish unless we see a big change in structure and price rocks to the upside, takes out these highs. Then of course, if we were to do something like that, I would definitely be bullish on USD, looking for some pullbacks, some higher lows, and some buying opportunities. So this is what I would be after as a swing trader, looking for something counter trend, but we're still a long way away from that. So for now, we'll just be looking at more downside, perhaps a pullback into this same area which we mentioned yesterday, fill the gap as well. That could be a nice intraday short to look into. But yeah, I know price is respecting support now, but I wouldn't be looking to try and look for any counter trend moves. I think it's still a little bit too aggressive as the structure is still pointing lower. So I would suggest to keep a close eye around 98.5. Taking that info into Euro, as you can see, Euro has been pretty bullish, but again, kind of failing at the highs a little bit, which again shows that how corrective Euro USD has been. So despite the uptrend we do have here, it's just a very fatigued, very corrective move, which is why I do think price is likely to fall to the downside at some point, similar to what Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar did, although they kind of rocketed back to the upside very quickly. But we did see that sell off, and I do think Euro is likely to go through that at some point. We're just kind of waiting for that to happen. Price at the moment respecting highs, fading at them a little bit. There might be some downside for Euro off the back of that. As we touched on yesterday, I like this zone here for a buy, especially on an intraday chart as well. You can see the aggressive double bottom we had over there. Price breaks the upside very aggressively, leaving behind some broken resistance, which will return support, which we haven't yet seen price come back to retest and give an opportunity for a long. So if we were to push down, fresh support, as long as we can look good here, reject well, nice and correct retracement, I still think that's a nice buy. Again, nothing too crazy. If you can buy from the low here, take it back to resistance, I think that's a very good trade within itself. You can call it a day and book some profits there. Yeah, so Euro, again, intraday buys make sense. Still seeing higher highs and higher lows. The trend line still acting. Still keeping the market bullish. So I would still favor more upside for Euro until we see something like this happen. And then, yes, I would be looking at a lower high and some shorts afterwards, but we're still very far away from that happening. So for now, looking at a pullback and then some more upside. Pound USD, similar situation, strong up move, kind of failing at highs as well right now. Would I be looking to try and take some short off the back of that? No, I still think it's quite aggressive. The trend is still very much to the upside. I was looking to see if pound could break back below this area, and that would have made me bearish for pound USD, because at that point I would have the break of this consolidation to the downside, which is a bearish signal, and then I could be looking for some lower lows and some lower highs off the back of that, perhaps on the retest of the same level. But note, this week we got a very strong rejection of that level. Price rallied very well. Now it's starting to fade at the highs. We did speak about some buys off this area here. I think, again, still looks very good if price can get there for a retest. I would prefer Euro a little bit more. I think pound is just a little bit choppy. I'm kind of viewing all of this as a consolidation. So really, I don't really want to be trying to take trades in the middle of the consolidation, because that's where the most fluctuation, the most indecision will be. Preferably I would like to be at the lows or at the highs of the range, not in the middle. So pound USD, I don't like the location, but it was a very sharp breakout, and typically when we do have very sharp, very impulsive breaks of levels, the retest often is normally a good one. So depending how price gets there, depending how we react, this could be a nice buy. I'd wait for more information before really looking at that as a solid opportunity. So I'd wait to see how price gets there and how we react. As for the selling ideas, again, like I said, you could probably take some shorts off the high here. It's a bit more of an aggressive trade, because essentially you're calling the tops on pound. So it's more of an aggressive trade. You've already seen some selling pressure come in, so it's not the worst or the most aggressive trade in the world. It's not like the market is just absolutely flying. You're trying to short the highs there. There has been some evidence of selling pressure, but I would still say it's quite aggressive. The more conservative trade would be waiting for price to break lower, which is what we were waiting for at the start of the week, to see if we can break through support here and then looking for some shorts afterwards, because at that point, we've got a break of structure, we've broken out the consolidation, all of this mess is broken lower, and the chance of a retest of this area would probably provide some nice entries, and maybe a short back into this low around 1.315. So at that point, pound USD be looking very, very bearish, and I will like the shorts there. So that's really what I'm waiting for pound. I know that will take some time. There is some aggressive shorts now, but not really my type of trade to take. Dollar CAD, probably my more favored opportunity right now, and not too far away from forming. I'm still pretty bearish on dollar CAD. Dollar CAD kind of goes against my bullish bias on the USD, but I kind of like that because it's a bit of a contingency plan. If, okay, maybe dollar is going to be bearish, dollar CAD should still give me opportunities. But yeah, the way I see dollar CAD right now, market is still very consistent with lower highs on the daily chart. We've got one high over there, strong move down, another lower high, strong move down, another lower high, strong move down. So I'm looking just for the repeat of that, the next lower high, for again another push to the downside. There's a couple of areas I said I was looking at as we came into the new week, this area being one which we tapped into, and this area being the second. Both nice areas of supply consolidation, but we did see a lot of momentum to the downside. Now prices pushed back into that first area. We saw a nice reaction, not yesterday, Monday. I'm looking to see if price can come back and retest that and give me a nice double top for some entries, and then of course targets back to where we came from into the lows. So USD CAD, I'm looking to short high around 1.38. I actually probably will be looking to buy the pair as well as we come back into lows. We are still very much a very big area of demand. I think we could see a lot more upsides than we have already done. So you can see massive area, big move to the upside. We've only just tapped into that. Perhaps a double bottom could form, similar to the one we had over here, and we might see some upside off the back of that. So I do like the buys in this zone, but I also like the sells up here as well. So just waiting to see if price can push back into resistance for that double top. If this area doesn't hold and price does break through, well, then I'll look to see what we can do at 1.39 back into that range, where again, I'll look for a similar move and a similar pattern for a push back into lows. So those are my kind of areas for shorts. This is my area for longs. As for Aussie dollar, not really too interested with price action until we push back to the higher end of the range. We still do have this corrective channel at play. The plan this week for myself was looking to short at the high of the channel. So as you can see how corrective we've been looking, price was forming a lot of equal highs here. I was looking to see if price can go and run through those highs, tap into the higher end of the channel, and then potentially find some shorts off the back of that. That would be my preferred opportunity. Of course, that hasn't arisen yet. Price had a bit of a sell-off, but that was kind of anticlimactic as we climbed back within the channel. So I wouldn't mind some buy opportunities, not really something I'll look at. I think if you are going to look at some buying opportunities off the retest of this area, you probably do want to drop to like an hourly chart for entries. But the idea is that, okay, we've had this sell-off followed by a very sharp recovery. This looks to me like a massive fake out of the low of the range, of the low of the channel. So if this is a fake out, then price most likely will respect the low and continue higher. So this becomes a nice trading opportunity. Again, more so on like the hourly chart, waiting for a valid retest, a valid rejection before entering, and then hopefully riding that to the upper end of the range or the channel. But as price still stays within the channel, I still do have a long-term, well, I have a long-term bullish bias, but I do still think we could have a big drop to the downside. The fact that this hasn't really amounted to much tells me that, okay, maybe Aussie dollar can still run higher, test the higher end of the channel. This is where I could hopefully find my shorting opportunities, then take price lower, and then maybe hope for a bigger breakout. But we'll see. If I can get some shorts up here, I'll be more than happy with a push to the lower end of the channel. You know, book some profits there, leave the rest to run. Let's see how far we go afterwards. But for now, I do like the short-term buys here, but this sell is where I do see the bigger move to be. So that's kind of where my focus is. As for New Zealand dollar, I don't really have a setup for this one. I mean, it's a similar price action to Aussie dollar in terms of the sharp move to the downside, followed by a very sharp recovery. So that does tell me that New Zealand dollar most likely will push higher back into highs, maybe even further as well. But I'm not really seeing an opportunity to take advantage of that. We had this bullish channel for a while. Price broke out of that. You can see compared to Aussie dollar, we broke back within the channel, which gives us the opportunity for the retest and the long. New Zealand dollar, we haven't really done that. We're actually still coming back into resistance. So although I do fancy more upside for NZD, I'm just not seeing a good buy. Maybe if we turn back to the lows here, this might be a nice place for a buy, but we're very, very far away from that. So I wouldn't be too concerned with the lows here just yet. But I'm bullish on the pair, just don't really have a solid buy opportunity for it. As for gold, a slight reaction yesterday. Nothing really too significant. With gold, I still don't like the fact that we did break through the trend line. That does kind of lower the quality of the setup. I'm still bullish regardless though. I still do think gold is likely to push back into 3,500, which of course is the all-time highs. So that's still my expectation for gold. But I'm just struggling to find a good opportunity to buy it really. I did say yesterday that this could be a nice area for a short-term buy. I wouldn't probably look to try and take it further than this area. Or at least I would book most of my profits. We can go a lot further than that area, of course. But I would book most of my profits there, leave some to trail. Maybe we do push back to highs, maybe we don't. But yeah, nice rejection yesterday, nice wicks. Haven't really seen much momentum, which tells me that gold is probably going to come back for another retest. And again, we'll see what price does. Potentially, we might form a nice double bottom here for a long. Or of course, if we do break through, that's when things get really awkward, because that technically would be a break of structure. You know, this is our last swing, which gave us this swing high. Breaking through this low would not be in line with that bullish bias in the 4-hour chart, because that would be a break of structure. At that point, I would fancy a lower high, another lower low, and maybe gold is going to rally or fall, I should say, back to these lows here at 31.30. So a break of this low is not good for buyers. And yeah, I probably would fancy a lot more downside at that point. But as of right now, we're still just about holding on to support. So let's see how price reacts. I still do fancy another reaction to the upside. But yeah, targets around 3,400 I think are sensible. Silver on the other hand, I like for the longs. I think they look really, really good. Again, we still have that healthy breakout of that daily resistance, which is what makes me very bullish on the pair. You can see a solid break to the upside. I am now looking at a pullback to retest this zone for more long opportunities. Basically just looking to follow momentum here. If this is a big breakout of this range here, if this breakout does really mean business, I want to be a part of that. I do have longer term targets back at 40 for silver. So I still do see a lot more upside. It's just about being patient and waiting for an opportunity. Right now, silver to me is kind of just flat, moving sideways. So if we can come back, retest this area, maybe we'll see momentum step in from there. There's also a nice brief range over here as well, where we did consolidate briefly and then spat out a lot of momentum. Hopefully price can test that, find some more buyers, and maybe that could be the injection that silver needs to rally again. And of course, targets back at the high, and hopefully you can hold some positions to run further. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD. That's kind of where I'm at with USD. Still kind of, we are a little bit bearish, still kind of seeing some downside. But I do think we can probably see some upside very soon with dollar. It looks very tight. So intraday, yes, sales look good. Kind of still taking small piece of the pie to the downside as dollar stays bearish. But I wouldn't look for any meaningful, any big swings from a seller's perspective for the dollar, because I do think the bigger move is to the upside. Anywho, let's go through some messages. Natty, what is up? Dollar yen, I think is heading to your point of interest. Okay, I'll go through dollar yen. Ogpak, what's up? I don't normally trade counter trend line breaks. I normally look for retests of trend line. I don't really look to take trend line breaks. It's not really my forte. I'm always looking for a retest, and 99% of the time, I'm always looking for a retest of support and resistance. Very, very rarely would I ever look at a retest of a trend line to back up an entry, just because support and resistance has a little bit more weight to it. Trend lines are a little bit more ambiguous. They're a little bit more kind of subjective. Support and resistance, although can be subjective as well, it's a little bit more concrete. So it's a little bit easier to take trades off support and resistance, in my opinion, and that's kind of what I've been doing throughout my trading career, to be honest. So yeah, pretty much always I'm always trading off support and resistance break and retest. But if it does line up with a trend line break and retest, that just adds confidence to the trade. But the primary reason is not the trend line break and retest, it's the support and break and retest, but there might be a trend line backing up the trade as well. So that's just a positive. But in terms of the entry time frame, 4-hour chart is where I take most of my entries. Eurocad Raheel, no problem. We'll take a look. Papaya extra. Definitely saying that incorrectly, but what is up? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Again, Dollar CHF, sure thing. We'll take a look. I haven't actually gone through that in a couple of streams actually, so it definitely does need some attention. Kian, welcome to the stream. Seems to be fixed. Okay, cool, but your face keeps freezing. Still no effects to the main screen, so it's all good for now. Okay, that's good that the audio is working. Let me know if the camera keeps freezing, by the way. Yeah, let me know if the camera keeps freezing, but thank you for the update with the mic. I think that's the main one, to be honest, because the sound would be a bit annoying if that just keeps playing up. But yeah, thank you for the update. Tommy, what's up? Hope you're well. Okay, took a buy in CAD Yen. Okay, we'll go through that for you. Pound Yen, Euro Aussie. Okay, we'll take a look. Okay, what's up, CC Integrated? No worries, my man. Yeah, I had no idea. I had absolute no idea. But good to see you on the stream. Hope you're well. Okay, so we'll go through a bunch of pairs to go through. If I do forget, by the way, a pair, just drop it down in the chat, because yeah, sometimes I will get sidetracked and forget the pair. So if it's been a while, just drop it down in the chat again. But we'll go through dollar yen, and then we'll go through euro CAD. So yeah, dollar yen. Yeah, this actually broke through the level I was looking to buy from. So now I'm kind of looking at this more from a bearish standpoint for dollar yen, because we've got a bit of a range here for dollar yen. We've got equal lows down here, mostly relatively equal highs. Markets had some very, very expansive breakouts, but they've all failed. Sharp breakout here, prices come back down. Pretty sharp breakout of that candle close, but didn't clear it by much. We came straight back down. And likewise over here as well, we came straight back down. So now this is going to be acting as resistance again. So I did say on the 15-minute chart for dollar yen, and we had that lovely bullish structure as price was trending to the upside. We gained a lot of momentum, big move to the upside. However, none of that sustained. Price came straight back down, broke through some lows, and now I'm viewing this bullish move as a pullback for price to continue lower. And kind of the 145.8, sorry, couldn't read there. 145.8/146 area, I think would be a smart place to short. Basically looking at somewhat of a head and shoulder pattern. There's your left, there's your massive head over there. And this, of course, would be your right shoulder. So looking for signs of rejection and looking to anticipate a lower high forming, to simply write it back down into lows, and maybe if everything goes very, very well, back down into the low end of the range as well. So the way I see it, there's a lot of downside here for dollar yen if we do respect that zone. If, of course, we do break it again, then we're back to square one. If price does break above, maybe at that point we do get the push back to these highs here, because we didn't quite do that on that last break. But yeah, in terms of the focus for dollar yen, it's okay. We've had a big anticlimactic buy. Prices come straight back down. Now looking at this as the pullback for us to continue selling. So we need to see price reject this area, and I think that would be a nice place for a short. Also in terms of risk to reward as well, especially if you can drop to like a 50-minute chart. Doesn't even have to be a 15, could be a 30 or even an hourly. Any of those lower time frame opportunities, if you can reject that level well, it should be able to give you a very nice risk to reward opportunity, very refined risks, stops above the high here, and you could be looking at a swing back to 142.5. So I do like the risk to reward there on the lower time frames for dollar yen, but this level will kind of make or break the bias. Although yen at the moment is quite weak, so do keep an eye on that. We'll go through some more yen pairs shortly. Let me just go through Euro CAD, which last time I saw was looking pretty bullish. So yeah, Euro CAD smashing straight into resistance as well. CAD's been relatively weak. Euro's been maybe slightly on the stronger side of things as well. But Euro CAD has been flying over the past few days. So what's the next move with Euro CAD? Well, it still looks very bullish. We're still trading in massive resistance. Back in what, 2020, pretty much, yeah. So we're still at massive resistance. But the market is still looking bullish. I think the key thing here is momentum. We've suddenly picked that up from out of nowhere. Price has been very, very flat, and we've steadily gained momentum and we're looking quite strong. Now it's to judge what price does at this level. I think on a short-term horizon, shorts do look good here. I think if you're looking for a short-term sell, you can get away with that. I wouldn't look to try and hold, because if I'm trying to hold a short here, it's basically, I'm trying to say that all of this momentum is just going to fail and price is going to push back down, which is, of course, it could happen, but the probability of you catching that on a dime is very, very slim. But what you can catch with a bit more confidence is a slight retracement, a slight pullback. We're seeing rejection at highs. It's a pretty meaningful level. You had a big push to the downside from that same zone. We're now respecting that area at the moment. So there's a good chance we probably do have a pullback from this level. This probably is the next major area of support / demand. You can see prior resistance there. We also had a very strong break. We could see price come back, retest this before perhaps continuing to the upside. So a move like that, you can possibly look to profit on. Of course, nothing's guaranteed, but you have a much greater chance to take advantage of that move there. But I wouldn't try and look for anything more than that for EuroCAD. I'd wait for the market to show evidence of bearish structure coming into play, before I do take any shorting opportunities. So yeah, the shorts, especially from a swing perspective, I would be careful of. Intraday, for a couple of days, I think you can get away with that back into this zone, and we'll see what price does next. Maybe we break through, maybe price respects it and rallies again. We'll have to wait and see. But short-term sells for EuroCAD off the high, I don't mind. Kind of lines up well with Euro USD. Euro USD fading at the highs as well, rejecting that level, push, likely to see a push down to Euro USD and EuroCAD. Typically do the same thing, 7-8 times out of 10. So seeing them both reject highs pretty well is a good confidence to see as well. So it looks like Euro USD and EuroCAD can both see a bit of a pullback. But again, I'll just treat it as a pullback, not necessarily as a reversal. It could be one, but it's difficult to predict that before it's happened. Price can always trend a little bit higher. Dollar CHF, so this one has been extremely bearish. Of course, USD has been pretty weak. CHF did gain some strength a little bit yesterday after the stream. So dollar CHF really did speed up and had a bit of a sell-off. We have smashed into the lows here. It looks like price again is reacting off the lows here. It's another market which has gotten to its relative swing lows or swing highs and is reacting pretty strongly. So it's interesting. Dollar CHF is a market that has been falling for a while. It has become very, very corrective in its last bearish move. Of course, you can see we're failing to break lows here. Perhaps a bigger pullback is on the cards for dollar CHF. I'm expecting dollar itself, the DXY itself, to see some strength soon. So if we are going to see that move happen, then of course you would expect dollar CHF to follow. But I'm not going to try and predict that early because the market can always fall further. Yes, it's on the cards, but I wouldn't try and predict it with a trade or say that we have to have it now. You can look to try and pick some longs off the low here. Like I said, a bit more of an aggressive trade because momentum is very much against you. But it is a solid level of support. You saw a very strong reaction last time we're here. So there is some merit there. It does make sense. But you are going against momentum. So it's a bit more of an aggressive trade. but it does make sense. I think if you can be a little bit more on the cautious side of things, maybe as we approach something like this, look to book some profits there. I know it's fairly recent, but when momentum is against you, when the trend is against you, even something like this could very much push price lower. So you want to be careful as you do come back into that zone. Of course, you've got this consolidation to contend with as well. So I do like the short-term buys here for dollar CHF. Looks like DXY is failing to break lows as well. So it looks like some dollar strength is coming into the market at the moment. We're definitely seeing a bit of a pop right now. That 4-hour candle is looking very strong. I know it's just open, so it still has 3.5 hours left before it does close. But we are seeing some strength, so back into 0.812, 0.816 looks like a likely move. But I would just keep it on the cautious side of things because, after all, we are still very consistent with all these lower highs. And for all we know, price might still want to put another one in and continue lower. So be careful with that. Okay, so we'll go through CAD Yen for Tommy. Got a buy position there. We'll go through Pound Yen. We'll take a look at the Yen index as well. Lonely Euro Aussie, sure thing. Do I like CAD CHF longs? Haven't really kept an eye on CAD CHF personally, to be honest. It's not my watch list, so haven't really been monitoring the pair this week. I will go take a look at it, but it's not on the watch list at the moment. Good morning, Blessing. Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. Welcome. So, Tommy, you got long in CAD Yen. I did speak about some CAD Yen, CAD, if I can spell it. There we go. I did speak about some CAD Yen longs yesterday. It had a slightly deeper pullback than I would have liked. I think we're roughly still, we kind of dipped below that trend line as well, which is something I didn't like as well. But yeah, I did speak about some CAD Yen buys at the start of the week, actually. So Monday, or was it Tuesday? One of the two. We had a lovely break to the upside. That was on Monday. So yeah, I was looking for the pullback for price to come back and respect this area. We had the nice trendline confluence. We had this zone here as well. So I was basically looking for price to respect this area and then fly, just to see the next higher low in its sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We did dip slightly below that confluence. It's not necessarily the biggest thing in the world because price can dip below support a little bit and still continue. Likewise with a trend line. It's not like we've had a massive break to the downside, and roughly speaking, price is still holding on to support to our left. So ideally, I would like price to kind of hold until 106.2. In theory, it looks like we're holding a little bit below that, but we are pushing into this area, which potentially could act as resistance. So I would keep a lookout, because if we do start to stall and consolidate here, that might be a bit of a red flag. If you can see price just push straight back above, I would say you're looking pretty good there. But yeah, I mean, after all, structure's still just about holding. It looks like potentially price put a bit of a double bottom here. Let's see if we can clear back above the highs. If we do, then yeah, I would fancy CAD Yen back into 107.240 and back into this high as well. I do have some higher targets up there. I think we'll just concern ourselves with these two targets for now. In fairness, it does look like price is respecting to this high here. Ish. But yeah, CAD Yen just kind of dropped below my confidence. That's the key point, really. I would still be bullish on the pair. I think Yen is still relatively weak as well. But I did drop below the confluence, which just makes things a little bit awkward. But if we can recover that, get back above those areas of support, then yeah, I would be bullish on CAD Yen, looking for a push back to the high, and then 108.240 as well after. But yeah, still just about bullish. If we were to reject this area, start to break the lows again, then I would back away from the buys at that point. Pound Yen annoyingly looks bullish. I was looking to buy this one yesterday, just didn't really see much of a pullback, to be honest. Yen is looking pretty weak, and this morning it just shot up. I was hoping we could see a push down. I was liking the pullback as well, because it was nice and slow. Price was taking its time, which is of course a good thing. after the momentum we saw here. A nice slow pullback tells me that, okay, the buyers are in control. This bearish move is likely to just be a pullback, or probably likely continue to the upside anyway. So I was hoping to see the break and retest of this zone. We've had this area mapped out for a while now, but it doesn't look like the retest is happening. I mean, it could still happen. Never say never. We could always suddenly push down for whatever reason and come back for the retest. So I'm not going to rule it out completely, but of course the likelihood is probably not that high anymore. Momentum looks pretty strong. We're probably on our way to 99.5/200. So yeah, with pound yen, things are looking very bullish right now. We had the solid break of this resistance on Monday, which is what set the tone for the buys really. And simply just looking for the retest of that same level to pick up some longs and continue that momentum back into 200. We'll have to wait and see if we do get that pullback. Do we even retest the high here? No, we even missed that as well. So yeah, just looking to see if we can get the pullback into 196.5. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but I don't really have an opportunity outside of that. Even with the retest here, I probably will look for entries on the hourly chart rather than my normal 4 hour entry. But yeah, we'll have to see if pound yen can come back and retest that level. If not, it might be a situation where price just kind of leaves without us. Okay, so Euro Aussie we'll go through next. CAD Swiss as well. Blessing Euro Yen, no problem. What's up? Vladon, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. J-Zone Gold, no problemo. We'll take a look. Pound CAD, okay, we'll take a look as well. Sammy, appreciate it. Thank you. Glad you find the analysis helpful. If you do, drop a like on the stream. Does really help out, guys. Appreciate everyone who has liked and subscribed so far. But yeah, Euro Aussie. I did speak about this one right at the end of yesterday's stream about some long opportunities. I like this zone here. Brief consolidation. You can see we spat out a lot of momentum there to the upside. So a very strong move. And of course, we do have these successive higher lows. You can also consider this as another higher low as well. But there is some bullish structure at play here. And basically, all we're looking to do is to see if that structure is going to continue. Is the market going to form another higher low and continue on its bullish path, or is it going to break to the downside and reverse? We're not to know. This is where being reactive and being adaptive comes into play. Because if we do push into this area, see some healthy rejection, some wicks, maybe a strong candle close, well, that tells us that, okay, the likelihood is that we are going to respect this area and probably see it move higher. If, of course, we just see big bearish candles, not much rejection, and price closing and breaking through, well, of course, that's a strong sign to tell us that we need to back away from that bullish bias. Maybe price has a lot more downside in store. But really, in terms of the focus, it really is just what price does in that area. Right now, I like the brief bullish move we've had. It kind of slows down price a little bit. We're becoming a bit more corrective, which is what I said yesterday. At the time of the stream yesterday, I think we were over here. I said things look quite bearish right now. Let's see if price can slow down a little bit before we do get into that zone for some longs. We did. And yeah, I just want to see how we reject these areas. If it's good, I would at least expect to push back to the swing high, which is 1.798. Maybe a push back to this high. Of course, what we do have for Euro Aussie is an overall uptrend at play. So as we can see, the market is trending to the upside. Maybe the market does want to continue back to its relative swing highs. If that's the case, taking some longs here is not a bad idea, and leaving some positions to trail just in case we do. Again, not a bad idea. But in terms of a focus, in terms of an entry, in terms of a setup, that's really what we're looking at. Some nice confidence there, also backed with that trend line. So definitely going to keep a close eye on Euro Aussie. I do prefer USD actually. We'll go through that at some point. They're very similar setups, but I like USD because it's just a bit more momentum to it and probably a bigger swing there as well. But CAD CHF broke to the downside. Very aggressive move. Like I said, I haven't really been keeping up to date with CAD Swiss. It's not a pair on my watch list. Hasn't been for a while, to be honest. So it's not really a pair. I mean, I've gone through it here and there, but I haven't really been keeping up closely because, again, not my watch list. But very strong move to the downside. It does look like at this point, we're probably going to see a push back to the lows here at 0.58300. If that is the case, would I be looking to long the pair? No. This is still very much a bearish market. We just broke out of a pretty long-standing range there for the past few weeks with some decent momentum. I'm pretty sure these are the all-time lows for CAD Swiss, if I'm not incorrect. I think they are. Yeah, these are the all-time lows for CAD CHF. So the market is very, very much oversold at extreme lows. But the funny thing with being at extreme lows is that we can always go lower. So the fact that price is heading towards those lows, yes, we could bounce, but I would always be careful, always wait for a confirmation, because the market could easily break through these lows and create some new all-time lows beyond that. I actually quite like this short opportunity, because I would expect to see price get back down to these lows. And if price is going to see a move to the upside beforehand, that gives us an opportunity to short it to those lows. Because if price is likely to get there, if it does push up just to come back for a retest, well, that gives us a break and retest opportunity to, of course, catch the break and retest of this range and the breakout of it, but also trade it back to those lows, which is a likely destination for price. So for CAD Swiss, I actually quite like the shorts. In terms of longs, there might be some nice, entries off the back of this low here. Of course, we did see a very big reaction. Price could get there again and see another big reaction. So I can definitely understand that, but it's just too much of an aggressive trade, considering momentum is with the bears. Pretty much every major trend, every major time frame, the trend is down for CAD CHF. So you're up against a lot of selling pressure at that point. Yes, I do expect price to bounce, but I'd rather wait for price to give me some bullish structure first, then jump on the back of that. We're coming from all-time lows. So if CAD CHF is going to go bullish, it's not going to be a slight move. We're probably going to get a pretty big move to the upside as price recovers. A lot of the downside we saw from earlier this year, we're probably going to see a similar move on the way back up. So it's not going to be a small move to the upside for CAD CHF when it is time to be bullish. So I don't need to be the first one into the market trying to catch the lows, because of course we could see new lows before that pullback does happen. So I'd rather just wait for bullish structure to enter the market and then find my pullbacks. But in terms of the selling opportunities, which I think look good in the meantime, again, if we can retest that support level, I think that's a great place for a short, and targets back into the swing low at 0.582. So yeah, CAD CHF, sure, I agree. There could be some really nice buys for this one, especially from a swing perspective, which is what I'm looking for. But I'll wait for price to give me the evidence first before jumping in. As of now, I think the sells look good on the retest of 0.59 for a push into 0.582 roughly. Okay, where was we? So we did CAD CHF, Euro Yen, Gold, Pound CAD. Okay, we'll take a look next. No problem. Lonely, happy to help. What is up? Follow the trend. Welcome to the stream. Being so patient with gold. Okay, 32.90. Left me behind last time. I mean, it can still get back there. I'm not quite convinced with the up move on gold. I think we can still push lower. We'll go through gold again shortly. What's up, DT? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. I don't understand. The colds exist. The colds exist. Yeah, I'm not too sure what you mean by that, DT. What's the colds? But yeah, we'll go through gold again. DNA, will it pull back to 145? We'll go check that out. But yeah, DT, I'm not sure what you mean by colds. Okay, what's next? CAD CHF, Euro. Okay, Euro Yen, and then we'll take a look at gold and pound CAD. So Euro Yen, last time I checked, was looking pretty bullish. Yeah, if we have a quick look at the yen basket, you can see the momentum right now of the yen. Very strong close this morning, and of course you pretty much have the opposite close, a strong bullish close this morning for pretty much all the yen crosses. So yen right now looking pretty weak. I do think there's more downside to the yen. I wouldn't be surprised if we get back down to some of these areas, to be honest. We've had a very, very corrective bullish move. Looks like that is now at its end, and perhaps we could be looking at a sustained bearish move. So looking at the yen now, the way I see it, the market's just formed another lower high for us, and we're likely to push right back to lows and continue our bearish path. I think this is the type of market that's just going to stay very corrective and then just spill over with so much momentum at some point, which you're going to see a very dramatic sell at some point. Of course, when that's going to happen, how it's going to happen, I have no idea, but that's kind of vibe I'm getting from the pair. As of right now, consistent lower highs, market still bearish. I still see the yen falling. So taking that into consideration with euro yen's probably still likely to head higher. We've of course broken through major resistance over here, which is what makes me very bullish on the pair. The next major level would be all the way up there at 175. So we could see a pretty big move here for euro yen. If we are really going to mean business and yen is going to be weak and euro yen is going to be bullish, there's a lot of upside on the cards here. I did suggest keep an eye out for this area for a pullback, a retest of that zone. Again, still keep your eye on it. I know price is looking quite bullish right now, but I wouldn't be surprised that if some people are jumping into some longs now, they're becoming liquidity before price to potentially see the real move. Of course, that might not be the case. Maybe we are going to rally to the upside. Yeah, if that's the case, it's a mistrade anyway. But potentially, people getting early to the move, getting excited. Potentially, price might have that kind of two-phase retracement. So one push, slight move up, second push, then we expect the bigger move. And that, of course, is just a typical bull flag. But this zone I really do like. Again, a brief pause in the market, nice pullback, strong up move, a test of that area. I would expect to see a bit of a bounce. Now that it looks like yen is still likely to see more weakness. So yeah, just waiting to see if we can get that move. That's where the interest lies. Naturally a push back to the highs and so on and so forth. Like I said, if euro yen means business, there's a lot of upside we can be expecting. Of course, I wouldn't look to try and trade it all the way up there in one go, but a push to the high there looks pretty reasonable to me. In terms of gold, so you said you're a bit gutted you missed the move on gold. Yeah, I think we're still likely to push low with gold. Not necessarily lower as in new lows, but I do expect us to return back to support, mainly because, yes, we did have a nice rejection there, but momentum still looks very, very dry. We've had a reaction, but the candlesticks are still very, very small and not really showing much momentum. We had a very strong drop to the downside yesterday. The way we're seeing rejection here looks to me that bears are likely to be stepping back into the market, and we could be seeing another push back into the lows at 3,300 there. So as a whole, gold, I do still see more downside. If it is to break through support here, that would be a big red flag to me. If price is going to break through the low there, I think at that point we could expect more downside for gold in the longer term. I would be looking at a push back into lows here at 31.30. That is if, of course, we do break support, which, of course, is not the case just yet. So, yeah, I would keep an eye for another retest of that zone. Of course, if it doesn't happen, it's a part of trading. Sometimes you mark up areas where you're waiting for price to get to, so you can look to buy it or sell it. And sometimes price doesn't get anywhere near there. Sometimes price gets very, very close to it. Maybe just misses it by a few pips and reverses in your expected direction. And sometimes you just got to bite your tongue and move on to the next setup. Maybe sometimes you maybe miss something. That could be the situation as well. But more often than not, if you have a solid plan, you stick to it, you will experience that from time to time, which is definitely one of the more annoying things with trading. But yeah, judging momentum, I think we are likely to see another retest. So I would stay patient. Hopefully, maybe this afternoon, something could arise. But yeah, gold, I'm looking for a bounce here. That's what I'm looking for. Hopefully, nice double bottom, then some buys. Again, I'm still long-term bullish on gold. If you look at the bigger picture, still trending to the upside. So nothing really does, put me off that bullish bias. The only thing that would of course be the break of support here. If we do break support, then yes, I would be bearish, at least for the short kind of slash medium term, and a push back to low is what I would favor. But again, we could get there and then suddenly become bullish again. So I'm not necessarily looking for a reversal if that happens. It's just I would expect more downside and possibly a push to that low. Okay. Where was I? Oh, just hit the mic there. Apologies if I deafened anyone. Pound CAD we'll take a look at next. And we'll go through dollar yen as well. DNA. 27th JPY CPI probably pull back yen then bullish. Okay, yeah, that could be the case as well. That could be the case. Fundamental catalysts normally do give those pullbacks or reversals even, depending on the outcome. No problem, J-Zone. Happy to help. Tommy, thoughts on the Edge Finder? I've never really used it, so I'm probably not the best person to ask, to be honest. I think definitely if you're looking for understanding, fundamentals and understanding, how you could use fundamentals to create an edge, more importantly, because of course understanding fundamentals is one thing, but actually using that to develop a trading idea is a completely different situation. So I think if you're looking at that, to use that as another element to your trading strategy, as another kind of confluence to your trading, it could be a good tool to use. But like I said, I've never used it. I've just kind of seen Nick and other people use it before, but I've never used it myself. Anyway, we'll go through pound CAD and then we'll take a look at dollar yen afterwards. I'll go through the rest of the yen pairs as well. But yeah, pound CAD, another one that's looking very, very bullish. Of course, another CAD pair rallied very aggressively. CAD's been somewhat weak and pound somewhat strong as well. If you look at the weekly candle already, it's looking very, very bullish. Again, it's still only halfway through the week, so this weekly candle could look very different between now and the end of the week, but we are looking pretty strong. I think the biggest thing to note with pound CAD is that for the past, since early March, the 3rd of March, no weekly candle has sustained a closure above this price, 1.857. You can see how many wicks we have planted to the upside here of price trying to break through, but by the end of the week, we pull back down and we close below this level. So coming back to the earlier point about we still do have, the rest of today, Thursday and Friday, we could still see potentially a big rejection and price pull back and close back below. If that's the case, then next week, I'll be expecting a pretty big sell-off if we do pull back and leave another wick. If we don't pull back and leave another wick, and let's say we do get a strong close, maybe that might be the sign of a breakout or at least a push back to the wick high up here, if that close is sustained. What would I do now? Not really much. I mean, I can see pound CAD is pushing into resistance, so I think this would be a nice place for a sell as well. I'd wait for some more evidence of rejection. But again, because the trend is very much to the upside, I'll try to keep things short and sweet. When I am going counter trend, taking more aggressive positions like this one, I'm very much looking to take my profit a lot quicker. I could still be looking for a bigger move, but I'll be taking the bulk of my profit at areas where prices like to see some type of buyers step into the market. Whether they're successful or not, I'm not to know until it's happened essentially. But I would want to be safe and not sorry, because more often than not, taking aggressive counter trend trades, momentum is eventually going to go against you at some point. And of course, very rarely, sometimes you do capitalize on the reversal too, but that's more rare. So yeah, pound CAD, I think it's a nice place to short 1.868. I'll keep an eye on 1.856. I think that's probably the first major level of support that price could potentially go against you. I'd wait for some more evidence of rejection. Like I said, not quite really showing signs that we're about to turn around. Yes, we're slowing down, seeing some wicks, but I'd wait for a stronger close to back that up. EuroCAD, kind of a similar situation as well. Trading at resistance. This has seen some nice momentum. I probably would still wait for a stronger close before entering myself as well, but you can see at resistance, failing at the highs, possibly a pullback, but we might still go higher. That's the same way I would tackle pound CAD. At major resistance, likely to see a pullback. I just wouldn't look for any kind of major move there, just to be on the cautious side of things. But yeah, pound CAD struggling at major resistance. Keep an eye out for that. I think the big thing is to see what we do at the end of the week, though, because if we do fail to sustain that weekly candle and we do pull back to form that big wick, I think there's a really big sell for next week to be had for the duration of next week. So that would be something I would be interested in. Lauda, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. King Kong, wicked name. Hope you're well. Dollar CHF most volatile currency this year. Is that like backed with stats, or is that like your opinion? I mean, I wouldn't know which one to say if I was going off my opinion, to be honest. I mean, dollar CHF has seen some aggressive moves, to be honest. I'll go through dollar yen, by the way. I have not forgotten. Yeah, I mean, that was a very aggressive move there. But then, of course, a lot of the USD pairs have done pretty much the exact same. But yeah, it might be. It might be the more volatile. I mean, more of the one or the higher volatility ones. But yeah, I'm not really too bothered, to be honest. I'm always looking at the moment. Potentially, a pair like, let's say, pound NZD hasn't really been that volatile so far this year. Potentially the next 6 months, it could be very volatile. So that's something I'll look at for an opportunity. Because typically if something's very volatile over a period of time, well, following that is probably going to lose some of that volatility, because it won't stay very volatile forever. So the ones that haven't moved as much, those are some of the pairs to keep an eye on. But yeah, good point. In terms of dollar yen, so dollar yen, 145.5, 146 is kind of the area I'm looking at for shorts. Where was your dollar yen comment? Or am I seeing things? Okay, there is DNA. Pull back to 145. Okay, what time frame are you talking about? Because price is just gone and broken through 145. Now we're trading at 145.6. So you're looking for a pullback into this area for a buy, I suppose. I think, yeah, that looks nice for a buy. Nice consolidation at the low here. Strong break to the upside. I think if you're looking to buy the market, that's where I would agree with, because away from a noise, you're back into consolidation. This is where the initial momentum came from. If price is going to form a higher low, this is where I would expect it to happen. So yeah, I wouldn't mind the buys there. I'm more inclined with the shorts. I'll be looking for that kind of right shoulder to form. Again, it could just give us the higher low. Maybe we do see more upside. Yen is pretty weak after all. Or maybe price does break through. We'll have to find out. But I do like the shorts up here. But I do agree, if you are looking to long, this would be a smart place to do that. Back in a range where momentum did really break through quite well. And there's a good chance for a higher low to form as well. And the market's quite stretched too. So the pullback to that area, it does kind of make sense. Lines up pretty well with the 0.618 fib there. So yeah, I do agree. If you're looking at kind of the intraday swings, especially like the 15-minute, I think 45 does make sense. But I also do like 146 as an area for a short as well. But I do agree with that long bias. Pavinator, what is up, my man? Happy Wednesday to you as well. Yeah, I do agree. We'll get to my buys in 0.62. Yeah, not looking likely right now. Need some drama in Aussie dollar. Yeah, I'm not too sure if we'll get it, to be honest. I don't think. I mean, dollar's not really. There's not any major news events right now. Maybe Trump needs to do something to get the dollar moving. Aussie, last time I checked, there was no major news events this week for Aussie, but let me go double check that. When is the Aussie interest rates? Or have we had them recently? We do have a Jerome Powell testimony later this afternoon, 3 o'clock UK time. Again, I'm not expecting anything crazy in terms of the dollar, but it could cause a bit of movement. But I pushed to 0.62. I highly doubt that. Tomorrow, Thursday, I'm not seeing any Aussie news. USD, we do have PCE, GDP growth rate as well. So again, jobless claims, that could cause some movement for dollar. In fairness, tomorrow afternoon, again, UK time, and then Friday. Yeah, Friday, not much. PCE again for dollar. That's late in the afternoon. But by then, I'm not too sure if we'll see much movement. And yeah, not really any Aussie news this week. Aussie's got a free week this week. Anyway, yeah, I'll go through Aussie dollar. It has been very, very corrective, I must admit. I've been looking for a similar move to 0.625 for some buys, but that just hasn't happened either. At the moment, I'm still looking to sell it though. If it does rally higher, I do have some short ideas for it, which we'll go through. No problem, DNA, happy to help. Pavinator, okay, interest rates, I think is next month. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're coming to the end of June now anyway. Yeah, I think the 30th is a Monday, so gonna have to wait a little bit for some Aussie drama then. Okay, let's go through Aussie dollar. If I have missed out a pair, by the way, if someone did comment down a pair and I just haven't got to it yet, chances are I've probably forgotten, so just drop it down in the chat if that's the case. But anyway, Aussie dollar, very, very hectic behavior. We're being in this channel for feels like the start of time. It's just continuing inside this channel. We did break out this week, but that was quickly nullified. The price came straight back above, straight back into the channel. I do like the short-term buys here, just basically using the fake out to our advantage. The fact that, okay, we did see this drop here, that would have invited a lot of late sellers into the market. That would potentially stop out any buyers previously underneath these lows here, underneath those lows as well. So that would have done a good job at kind of shaking some participants out of the market. Now we've had a very sharp recovery. I do think we can probably see more upside. Again, I would suggest to keep an eye for entries more on the lower time frames. I don't think this is like a big swing idea. I think if you can pull back into this level at 0.646, it's a smart place for a buy, especially on like the hourly chart, especially with price moving very flat right now. Break lower, see some retest. I think that's a smart place to go long. And you do have some resistance just above you here, which I think makes for a good target. I'm personally, in terms of the short idea, I'm looking for some shorts around this area, 0.66. We've got this very long-term ascending channel. If price does rally back to the high of the channel, well, naturally, I'll expect another reaction and a push to the lower end of the channel. So I like the idea of just shorting the highs back to the low, booking some profit there. Then maybe we can take it further. Maybe we catch the breakout. I'll leave some positions to trail. But yeah, I have been looking for that bigger pullback for Aussie dollar. If I do whip out the odd Fibonacci from the low to the high, I'll basically be looking at the continuation of this bullish leg. I'm looking for the correction and then the continuation. The fact that price is so corrective on the way up does tell me that we're likely to push down anyway, and that probably will be the pullback of this move we're looking for. And then around here I'm looking for the higher low, 0.625, 0.62. This is kind of the zone I'm looking to try and pick the longs for. I'm sure you're looking at a similar idea as well. But yeah, Aussie dollar has just been very, very slow, to be honest. I mean, it's been in this channel for ages, so it just hasn't been fruitful. But this is what I'm looking at in the meantime, to maybe see if I can set it towards the zone I'm looking to buy it and pick off some buys later on. But yeah, have to be very, very patient since it's moving so choppy. Has not been the best pair at all to trade. Pavinator shorts at 0.65514. Okay, is that the resistance level? Ooh. So yeah, that's basically coming back into the high over here. Yeah, I mean, personally, I wouldn't look to short there, just because we're kind of in the middle of the channel. You can see this dotted line here. That represents the middle of the channel. Typically, I want to do all my business as far away from that line as possible. So right at the highs up here, or right at the lows here at the low end of the channel. I don't want to do any of my business in the middle because that's where the most speculation is. Not really at an area of value either. I understand that we are at resistance, so it does make sense to short the market. Don't get me wrong, but in reference to the channel, I kind of want to be as far away from that as possible as well. So taking some sells at the fresh highs here, it could be deemed as a bit more of an aggressive trade, but I like it because we're far away, and if price can reject well, I can profit on the move towards the middle, maybe even book some partials before we even do get to the low end of the channel as well. So that's the main reason why I wouldn't short there. But again, just because I don't short there doesn't mean the market can't sell off from there. The market can do whatever it likes, but I would just prefer a push slightly higher up. And I know my stop loss would be a little bit safer above the highs here. Maybe my risk reward might be greater as well. So that's just my preference. But yeah, it's a solid level resistance. We could still respect it, but I would like that more kind of extreme push before selling. But yeah, it's not my favorite pair anyway. But that is something I am looking at. Lighton, what's up, my man? Hope you're well. Forgot to greet the family. So poor. But I hope you're doing good. Welcome, my man. Yeah, it's just a very volatile time in the markets. I mean, not really, to be honest. You expect it to be a bit more volatile, I would say. The markets are a bit more on the volatile side of things, but I would expect it to be a bit more personally. I know oil has done some crazy ups and downs, but FX markets, I would say, still kind of relatively quiet, at least the past kind of month, I would say. I mean, for the most part, Aussie dollar, this is all we've done. Apart from that move there, we haven't really gone anywhere. So I do think the markets can push. Even gold, yeah, gold's seen some downside, but you expect gold to be flying. Hasn't really happened either as well. So I think the markets are lagging a little bit. But anyway, USD ZAR, yes, we shall take a look at that one, no problemo. USD CAD as well, we will take a look. Commander, what is up? Yes, I've gone through GJ, but I can quickly spin through that one again. So USD ZAR, I was talking about some buys yesterday. I haven't really seen that come into fruition. Price, of course, came into lows. I said this is a nice place to buy. Of course, we saw a nice reaction from. Of course, since then we got to the level, and now we've just been moving sideways. So I'm not a big fan of the buys at the moment in terms of a good entry. I like the setup, but the entry is kind of non-existent right now, or kind of very, very flat. So momentum would be nice before entering a buy. Then again, I would be careful. This would be my first target, so if the candle's quite big, it would kind of sabotage the risk to reward a little bit. I would have expected an entry by now, but we've just been very, very flat. Again, my main kind of take with USD ZAR is that I'm still looking for a push back into the low here. We had a very considerable rejection at the highs not too long ago, especially with this massive wick rejection. So the way I see USD ZAR playing out is that, okay, we've had this massive rejection, price has sold off quite a lot, we've taken out some major lows as well, but we are still just about respecting to this area of demand to our left. So I do think the market can go through somewhat of a pullback before maybe continuing its bearish path. I talked about this area as a nice area for a short. I still do like that area, but as of right now, we're still coming back into support, still respecting it just. So I think the buys look good for now, but I would watch out as we do approach this area because, of course, perhaps we could still sell off again. maybe we do see the bigger pullback into that zone before we do continue, but I think I would be a lot more cautious than that. I wouldn't target that level outright. There's nothing wrong with leaving positions to trail there, but I would look to probably book most of my profit as we come back into this range, because I know that's where a lot of selling pressure just came into the market from. And after all, the market is still pretty bearish too. So as a buyer, we want to be on the back foot a little bit. We are on the back foot. So I would always just be cautious. It's not like momentum's in our favor or anything. It's a bit more of an aggressive trade. But yeah, for now, I still like the buys. I would wait for some momentum to come in. Maybe a strong close like that. Like I said, maybe the risk reward isn't worth it, to be honest. That's if you're entering on the 4-hour chart. But I am looking for a bigger pullback. And hopefully some shorts around 18.4 for the next big swing, where perhaps we do push back into that next daily level. So basically, looking for some buys for some sells. But that could take some while. Dollar CAD. I like the shorts for this one. Again, with this one, I got kind of two biases at play. I like the longs at the lows here. I also like the shorts at these two respective levels. If I go to the daily chart, you've got a massive area of demand here. A price consolidated briefly, ripped to the upside with a lot of momentum. Of course, recently we've come back to test that area. We did see a strong initial reaction. I'm simply looking to see if price can get back there again, retest that low, and potentially find some buys off the back of that for a nice double bottom. After all, we've had a very corrective move into that level. It's a very meaningful level of support, demand. It could still give us a pretty big swing to the upside. So I do like the buys for a nice double bottom. Again, a bit more of an aggressive trade, but we're in a sensible area where it does make sense. I will be cautious how I manage the trade, but I do like the idea. In terms of the shorts, basically looking to continue this bearish trend. There's two zones that I do like. This area here, which we did consolidate briefly, nice push lower. Or this area here as well, the kind of last significant swing high, I would say, before we created this low. If we can pull back to that zone, that would be brilliant as well. Nice consolidation, strong drop there. That would kind of be the first time price does get back to retest in that zone. So I like the shorts here for USD CAD. 1.38, 1.392 levels look really good. At the moment, we did see a nice strong reaction, so just looking for the retest of it really for another entry, to be honest. Nice double top, and then shorts back into the low. And then hopefully we can speak about some buys. If it doesn't hold, and let's say price does rally through the zone, where of course this will become void, and that 1.39 area will be my next focus. So yeah, dollar CAD just depends really where we're trading. If price is near the high or near these highs, I'll be looking to short it. If price is near the lows here, I'll be looking to buy it. So the bias, the long-term bias is pretty neutral actually. It's just about where price is trading, where I get my opportunity. In terms of pound yen, no problem, Lighton, happy to help. Yeah, so pound yen, I feel like I might miss the opportunity here, to be honest. Price is looking quite bullish right now. Of course, yen has just seen some weakness come into the market. A nice strong close has followed suit. I do like this level here of resistance. Very strong level, once, twice, a third time. Yeah, somewhat a fourth, closed above, then we closed back below. This, to me, 196.250, looks like a very nice area for a buy. And that was the plan coming into the week. Just waiting for price to clear resistance and then use that as support to then continue to the upside. All prices have been doing for the past few weeks is just consolidating between the two areas, the trend line and the resistance level. And now that we've finally got the breakout, was hoping for a retest and then the buy to follow that higher, but looks like we might have missed that opportunity. No, not necessarily missed, because again, when I view a missed trade, it's more like, okay, price actually did what you say it will do, but maybe you just either hesitated or you weren't there to take the trade, or it happened outside of your session hours, or maybe you were just not at your charts. You know, something like that is, I would say, a missed trade. If price just didn't test your area, you might have missed the move, but it's not really a missed trade, because even if you were at the charts ready to go, it just didn't fit your plan. You move on to the next opportunity. So I don't really deem this as a missed trade, maybe just a missed move. But the key thing at the end of the day is that price hasn't tested the support level. At least yet, there is a world where maybe price still does come back down and does test support. So I'm not going to rule it out. that could very much still happen. So keep an eye out for that. But my expectation with pound yen is a push back into resistance here, this swing high at 199.5, so basically 200. But yeah, pound yen looking very bullish. We've had a quick look at the yen basket, and I do think this has got lots. I don't know what spell, what's going on. There we go. Now I've missed out the B. So yeah, now that the yen is looking very weak, it looks to me that the yen has a lot more room to fall. It looks like this support level is being broken. The consistent lower highs are still being consistent. It looks like we could be seeing a swing all the way back into lows here at 61.20. So yeah, if the yen does mean business and we do see a sell-off like that, then what does that mean for pound yen? It means that you will be expecting a push back to 200, but probably a lot more upside than that. And you could be expecting a push to 207, really, if the yen is going to have that big tank. So definitely something to keep a close eye on. But yeah, for now, yen pair is looking very bullish. Aussie yen and New Zealand yen haven't really been looking bullish, but I think they're just lagging behind it well and truly. I'm looking at Aussie yen here. We had that massive sell-off, and then price had a very sharp recovery, of course, creating this resistance level. But I do think price is likely to break through that. I do think we'll see more upside beyond that. I'm looking at this as somewhat of a bottom for the market. I do think we're likely to go and break through the highs here and trend higher. Now, whether price goes and takes out the highs there, that's a different question. We could still end up forming a lower high and push lower. But I do think a break of this resistance here at 95.6 is a pretty pretty measured guess. I do think price is likely to see that move. The only thing is I don't really have an opportunity to trade that because we're kind of stuck at resistance right now. The market for me is really, really flat at the moment as well. We're struggling to do anything really in terms of consistent breakout. And even if we do, I would probably say you need to drop right down to like the 15-minute chart if you are going to look for a decent trade here for a break and retest. Anything above that might not see the best risk reward back into that zone. And as for New Zealand yen, this still looks very bullish to me as well. Again, this one did technically break structure as well. So this, in terms of the price action, I think looks very neat and tidy. Clean bearish structure. We manipulated that, broke the highs, pull back higher low. I do think price is just going to go and see some new highs. So again, New Zealand yen, I think the buys on some pullbacks could look really good. Similar setup to pound yen in terms of solid resistance. Price has been respecting it, kind of squeezing between that resistance and this trend line. I think if we can see a solid break to the upside, that would be a massive green light for a buy, especially if you keep an eye on what pound yen does. If pound yen does continue to the upside, probably we'll see New Zealand yen continue to the upside, and of course the other yen pairs as a whole too. But that will become a nice opportunity as well. So maybe we miss pound yen, but maybe we'll be able to capitalize on New Zealand yen. And as for Swiss yen, this one, again, major resistance. Oh, what am I on about? We've seen the all-time highs. I thought price was still at the highs here. Again, Swiss yen, I've been looking to see what price does at the high. We did break through, but I don't think I've looked at it this week, to be honest. But yeah, price has actually seen some new all-time highs. I'm pretty sure these are the all-time highs for New Zealand yen, not New Zealand yen, Swiss yen. I'm pretty sure those are all-time highs. So new all-time highs for the Swiss. Things are looking very bullish. Of course, we're at resistance. I could imagine a lot of people looking to try and sell the market now. Again, I probably would. I do think there's going to be a big sell, so I wouldn't say it's a bad idea. But what I can say is that the market is extremely bullish right now. All the major time frames are pointing up. So if you are going to take some sells right now, you are pretty much going against all the bigger players in the market driving this higher. And the odds of you catching the high, calling it, calling the top to a dime is very, very small. So if you're going to use very refined risk to bet on the top forming, something like this, you're asking for a lot of trouble, because the room for error is just only this. Yeah, that's your room for error, the width of your stop loss. So the chances are you probably will get stopped out. Now, I do agree in terms of looking to short the market, because I do think that will be the bigger move. I think we're quite overextended with due a pullback. So yes, I do think we'll likely see some downside for Swiss yen shortly. But again, I would wait for things to shift here first and then look for the lower highs along the way. These are much easier setups to trade. Probability is a lot more in your favor. And you can just sleep a little bit better at night holding on to those positions, because you're not kind of selling into a steam train. At least the train's in your favor. So I would be a lot more patient with getting into short. Same thing goes for like CAD CHF, which of course is at all-time lows, pretty much doing what CHF is doing, but of course on the other side of the coin. I mean, this is not quite at all-time lows yet, but looks like it's on its way. I'll be very careful looking to buy off the lows. I do agree. I do think CAD CHF, the bigger move is to the upside, but you got to be patient. Otherwise, price can very much keep falling and keep stopping you out. So be careful of that. In terms of the indices, last time I checked, they were looking pretty bullish. US 30 trading a lot higher. So another bullish day, another push to the upside. I will be careful with the indices. Although they are bullish, I do struggle with them a little bit, just in terms of looking to follow that momentum. Yeah, especially with this under this current climate as well. I think the biggest takeaway for the indices is that they're still quite corrective. So despite the momentum that we had yesterday, which looks great, but we've just had a push back into resistance, back into our top end of a channel. You do question, have we just rallied to sell? Again, we're not to know until it does happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. So US 30, despite the bullish momentum, I wouldn't be looking to follow that momentum there. We're still very corrective in this channel. I think because we are starting to now put some consistent higher lows in, I think the buys make a lot more sense now. So if the market was to pull back and reject the lows again, well, I think that looks like a good buy. We're staying consistent with the market structure. But because we're failing at the highs there, I do think we can see some downside. Looking at the NAS, I'm pretty sure we're doing the same thing as well. Maybe not seeing as much rejection just yet, but you can see how corrective the market is looking. So you've got your channel here operating, you've got the middle of the channel with that dotted line. Now we're pushing back to the upper end of the channel. I do think we can see a bit of a reaction, a push down. Again, we're looking quite flat right now, so I wouldn't be looking to short now. But let's say if we can rally a little bit further, test the upper end, see a strong rejection off the back of that, well, that could be a nice entry. How are we looking compared to the all-time highs? I think we're very, very close, aren't we? So yeah, we're only a fraction away. Yeah, a fraction away. So I think maybe we could pinch the highs, maybe test the top end of the channel, and then see that bigger pullback. I think that really does tick the box in terms of confluences. Not only are we new all-time highs, not only are we quite stretched, not only is price respecting the all-time highs and of course respecting the top end of the channel, but we've also seen a strong rejection off the back of that. Well, that's quite a lot of layers of confluence in your favor. Again, very aggressive trade. Momentum is very much against you. I think there is some sense there, especially if you can wait for a bit of a double top as well to really confirm things. And if we take a look at the S&P, which again, same idea, very close to new all-time highs. If I drop to the 4 hour, you can see how we're looking in terms of the higher highs and higher lows. So again, I'd watch out as we do push to the upper end of the channel, not only because we could form a lower high, but because we might spike through the all-time high and then drop lower. could see price doing something like that and then having a bit of a sell-off. So I'll be careful there with the indices. Yes, they've seen a lot of bullish momentum. Yes, they've rallied quite well, but I think the momentum can be a bit deceiving, especially with the fact that we're just trading within a channel. It's not like price has been, trending well like so. We're actually quite corrective doing this, and we've just seen a strong move back to highs there. So this doesn't really mean much. We're still in that kind of corrective nature as a whole. So until we kind of break through that and then continue, then yes, that might be a nice buy to follow. But if not, we could very much respect the highs and roll back over, and we're back to square one. And that's simply what we're seeing with the indices. I'm not saying that that sell-off will happen. I'm just saying it's kind of 50-50, whether we break the high or we pull back down. And again, if something's 50-50, not really looking to trade it until it's a bit more in your favor. So despite the momentum, yes, US 500 looking very good, but we're just pushing back to the all-time high. I think there still could be a big sell on the cards there. But go through the DAX as well. So the DAX looking a bit bearish this morning. But again, the key takeaway from the DAX is that we are respecting crucial support to our left there on the daily chart, and we've had a very strong reaction off the back of that. I did say yesterday, keep a close eye on this area. This looks like a nice area for a buy to me. You can see the brief pause we've had, strong push to the upside. This was like a pullback into that same zone. I do think from there we could have a very strong chance of seeing a higher low and price rally back to highs at 23,800. So the way I see it, the DAX is still bullish. We just about cleared highs here. I know we haven't had a sustained close. The fact that we are wicking above that area does show that lower time frame areas are breaking resistance very, very well. And of course, with that momentum that we had once, pause twice, especially after very corrective move down, like so, that does tell me that the buyers are really stepping into the market and now looking quite strong. So yeah, with DAX, keep a close eye on 23,500. For me, that looks like the smartest area for a buy, especially because that's where the demand area came from. And of course, you're backed up with that daily support too. And then who knows how far we can take it. Possibly back to the all-time highs. But if we do get long from there, I would say a push back to the all-time high. A push back to the high here at 23,800. That is definitely not the all-time high. Is a very likely move. So definitely keep an eye on the DAX. I think in terms of the UK 100, that was looking very interesting as well. Although still looking pretty bullish, I do think the buys look good here. I would expect a bit more downside before looking to buy this. But the thing with the UK 100, which does interest me quite a lot, is the fact that we just missed out on the all-time highs. You got 8,900 over there, which is where, of course, the prior all-time highs have been. We just missed it. I said, I think a couple of weeks ago that we're probably likely to take out the all-time highs and then retrace. In this scenario, we didn't. But I think because we haven't done that, it does provide a nice opportunity because the all-time highs are likely to go. The all-time highs are likely to go, so we can use that to our advantage. If the all-time highs are likely to go, then it's simply our job to find the pullback in which price goes and takes out the all-time highs. So if this is where price is just pulling back to eventually go and take up the all-time highs, then it's kind of our job to try and catch that low before price goes and does that. Then we can take advantage of that run higher and sit on the move for that. So I would probably just keep an eye on this area here, 86.75, major swing high with support over there. I feel like if we can have one more drop lower, that might give us that next high low for the big swing. I think it's a relatively healthy correction as well. I mean, it's a very, very big move to the upside. How do we look with the 0.236? Wow, so even with the 236 and the 382, they're all the way down here. I mean, it would be nice to get some pullbacks into these areas. I just don't see that happening at the moment. But yeah, FTSE 100 also looking very bullish. I do think we can see more upside for that one as well. What is up? Open-minded coding. Currently any positions? No, not any positions at the moment. I mean, I've got quite a few pairs on my watch list, so I can run through that quickly. But nothing that has piqued my interest yet so far. This actually no, I was in gold longs, but I did get stopped out of that position. I did try and catch a swing to the upside in gold. Was that Monday or Tuesday? No, that was Monday. Had an entry just as price was looking like it was about to clear this level. We broke out of that channel there, and we were respecting this trend line very, very well. So I did have a stab at that candle close with stops underneath the low there, but I did get taken out of that position. And that price has rallied back into support. So I'm still looking to try and buy gold, but it's definitely kind of, my confluences have been invalidated. So despite the bullish bias I still have, which mainly stems from the higher time frames, the 4-hour chart is not looking as good anymore. So I'm kind of backing away a little bit from gold. I still think gold is likely to rally back to highs. I still think gold is a very bullish market, but silver does look a lot better to me. So I'm more focused now with silver. I'm hoping we can see a bit more downside to find some longs from 35. So this is definitely one of the opportunities I'm keeping a very close eye this week. I really do like silver. We're very, very flat at the moment. You can see price hasn't really done anything for quite a while now. So I quite like that. And the fact that we've got a lot of wicks adding up here as well. So potentially price can go run through them. And hopefully find some buys there for a long. And then take it back into the high there at 37.29 would be the plan there for silver. I mean, the plan would be to try and take it a lot further than that. I'm looking at 40, but again, that's a longer term play, leaving smaller positions to trail. I probably would take most of my profit back at the high there. Not necessarily trying to go for the home run with every single move, but silver longs, is definitely something I'm keeping a very close eye on. I'm also keeping a close eye on Euro NZD longs as well. We went through Euro Aussie earlier in the stream. I said Euro NZD is a very similar opportunity to Euro Aussie, except I like the momentum a little bit more with Euro NZD. I think there's a bit more momentum in the market, so hopefully we could see a cleaner up move off the back of that. But I like this area. Brief pause in the market, nice up move, consolidation, another push to the upside. Now we're having some retracement. The way I see it, if we could stay corrective and slow, this is likely to be a pullback for us to go and see another higher high, or at least an equal high. Maybe your NZD is trying to move back to the highs up here at 1.996 or 2 even. So I do like the buys here for UNZD. It is on the watch list. We are kind of trading in that zone, although I do want to see a deeper test of it. But it's in an area which is definitely taking my fancy, and an area where another higher low could form. So keeping a close eye on a swing back to highs there. I'm also looking at dollar CAD for shorts. I like this area here for a nice double top for a sell. And of course, I do like the area up slightly higher, but as of now, we're respecting this 1.378 area pretty well. So I'm just going to stay patient, see how we do there, and hopefully take some shorts off the back of that as well. So yeah, dollar CAD, shorts, USD, longs, silver longs are good. I mean, there's a couple of other pairs I'm looking at, but they do need some work. Okay, you mostly trade pound USD, okay. Okay, fair enough. Not dabbed into gold and silver. Yeah, I mean, I didn't start trade gold and silver until like a good 3 years into trading FX currency pairs. I do recommend gold. I mean, again, gold is a very volatile market, so people like it because it's volatile. You can catch a very, very a big move quickly, or a reasonable move just quicker than a normal FX pair. But again, speed is not everything. Just because you can win a trade quicker doesn't necessarily mean it's a better market to trade. You can also lose the trade just as quick. So gold being more volatile is a good thing, especially for swing traders, because if it can take you 3 days what normally takes you a week plus in other pairs, that's of course definitely a win. But in terms of the price action, I think gold almost moves like a currency pair, to be honest. So it's quite nice to trade because it's not too contrasting compared to like a pair like pound USD. Of course, gold will have its kind of niche elements to it that as you trade and gain experience, you start to notice. But I would say, yeah, keep an eye on gold. I wouldn't say just go and trade it straight away, but it could be a market which you just keep an eye on here and there to see how it moves. Maybe if you like it, you can add it to a watch list. Or of course, if you're comfortable trading GU, if you've got something going on there, good, then of course no need to change that as well. But if you are looking at expanding the pairs you're looking at, I think a good contrast like gold, which is not really an FX pair. Well, it isn't an FX pair. It could be a nice market to look at. And maybe silver if you want, but I would suggest gold because it's a bit more liquid, it moves a bit more. What's up, Yusuf? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. I am doing good. Thank you. Hope you're well. Anthony, my man, what is up? Good morning. Dollar yen buys. What time frame are you referring to for dollar yen buys? Because at the moment it looks like price is approaching some resistance. We did go through some dollar yen buys on the 15-minute chart, which look okay. Actually, it looked pretty good. The retest of a range in the lower time frames. But the way I see it, I'm not really a fan of where we would be buying from if it's on the 4-hour chart. I did say early in the week when we had this big breakout on Monday that a retest of this level would be a buy for me because price is coming back into a solid resistance level. At that point, I would be looking at a push back to the high. Unfortunately, we broke through that zone. So that's kind of what makes me if price can get back above that, then yes, I think we're back on for a move back to this high, and of course this high over there as well. But because we broke below that resistance or support level, this of course now acts as resistance and very much could take us lower. So I'm not very much keen on the buys as I was at the start of the week, because we were above this area, we had a solid breakout, the retest looked good. Now we're back within this territory, which is not really something I want to be buying into, definitely not buying into resistance. So buys for dollar yen, I think makes sense because the yen is still very weak. It looks like we can still see a lot more weakness with the yen. So if the yen is going to be a weak currency, and USD maybe could gain some strength soon, I mean, maybe it might gain some strength, maybe not, but I think USD will gain some strength in the near future. That could give dollar yen a nice move up, but if I'm going to buy it, it does need to be above that level. I don't necessarily want to be buying into resistance. Like I said, if we respect this well, we could very much see price sell off, and that's not something I want to be caught in. So dollar yen buys could be the case. I think yen looks very weak, so it makes sense, but I would wait for price to be above resistance before getting involved. Okay, yeah, 15-minute chart, I don't mind the buys on the 15 because there's room to work with. We had a nice consolidation kind of towards the end of yesterday, and then we broke out kind of last night / into early this morning, and it has left behind a nice range. So we mentioned this area here at 145. I think that's a nice area for a buy in the 15 because you've had a nice push down, consolidation, push up, looking for the retest, the higher low of that move. If I whip out the fib, it lines up very well with the 0.618. Let me just get rid of some of these levels. It lines up very well with 0.618. So I think this is a smart place for a buy. Trying to catch the higher low. I also think this is a smart place for a sell too. So I'd watch out for that. But yeah, 50-minute chart, I do agree. 4-hour, you're kind of smashing to resistance. I don't think there's a solid level you're necessarily buying from. But yeah, hourly chart, a pullback to 145, I think the buys make sense there. As long as, of course, we get some decent rejection. Yeah, makes sense. Wait for the retest. Yeah, I would agree. I'll wait for the retest because, of course, you don't want to be buying dollar yen now because the market's already had a big move. I mean, it depends how you trade. Some people like momentum trading. In that case, they would buy opportunities like this because momentum is up. So they would buy into that. Not really my forte. I'm always waiting for price to come to a discount, a cheaper price to then take it higher, or a more expensive price to take it lower. I'm always looking for price to be a bit stretched in the opposite direction that I want price to move in, and then take opportunities there. That's where I do see value. Buying into something that's already bullish, for me, the market's already done, has already done most of its move, probably. Of course, it could still go higher, which of course is the expectation. If you're going to be following momentum, you're following momentum because you expect it to continue. But with those situations, especially in FX, you tend to kind of revert quite a lot. If it's like an indice or even gold in the right conditions, following momentum at the highs is not actually, it's actually a good idea sometimes. But in FX, where you can see we do chop around quite a lot, buying the highs and selling the lows can be a bit of a tricky business. So yeah, I definitely would wait for a pullback there and then some opportunities. But at the moment, the yen looks pretty weak. I think we are likely to fall back into lows, to be honest. You can see the lower highs price has been forming. And to me, it looks like price is probably going to push back into the low there. So if that's the case with the yen, if we are going to make a push back into the low, then you're probably going to see respective yen pairs make a move higher. I don't see the yen basket suddenly making a move to the upside. Of course, that could happen, but probability, I don't see that happening. I do think there's a lot more room for us to fall into. So yeah, for now, yen looks weak. I think the other yen pairs corresponding do push. No problem, happy to help. Yeah, in terms of, we had some interesting price action recently with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin looking very, very bullish. Yeah. I'm not too necessarily confident with that. We are looking bullish, which is great, but for how long for? As we do approach that trend line, I do worry. That we kind of just stall and push back down again. Ethereum, that had a nice reaction to the upside, which again, I like it. But we are coming back into areas of supply, so I wonder how long for before we push back down again. But I do, the key thing I do like about Ethereum is that the bigger level here, price is holding on to. And if this is going to stay respected, I think we could see a pretty big move to the upside for Ethereum. So it depends who's going to win the battle, really. At the moment, we're back at supply resistance. So I think shorts might come into play here. But if we come push back down, respect it well again, see another rejection, there could be some nice buys and some big ones too. I do think Ethereum is quite lagging behind BTC. Bitcoin's made new all-time highs, I think, twice since 2021. Or was it 3 times? In terms of the major swings. So 2021 is here, so we took up the highs once, twice, 3 times actually. And Ethereum hasn't done it since 2021. So I think Ethereum is lagging heavily behind BTC. And this could be a smart place for a buy. Again, I'm not saying it's not investment advice, but I think that's a solid place for a long-term buy. It might not necessarily get us to all-time highs, but I do think we can see a big recovery in price if we do hold onto this level. If not, then yeah, it's not looking good for Ethereum. We might push back into 1,400 at that point, 1,400. Yusuf, longest time you've ever had to hold a trade? the more emotion I experience with the trade. Probably actually the opposite, to be fair. The longer I hold the trade, the less emotionally tied I do get to the trade, to be honest, because the longest I've ever held a trade is probably maybe between 2 and 3 months, to be fair. Somewhere between 2 and 3 months. I mean, recently, the longest trade I held was Aussie Swiss. That was a month and a half. But in terms of my whole trading career, it's probably between 2 and 3 months, I would say, off the top of my head. But yeah, the longer I hold this position, probably the less I care, to be honest, because I've just been in it for so long. It's kind of like old news, to be honest, and I'm always looking for the next trade. I think when my emotions at the highest is probably when I'm entering a position, because that's when I'm taking new risk onto a trade. I'm trading a new trading idea. I'm looking for that initial momentum in my favor. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, maybe it stops me out. But that's probably when my emotions are at its peak. Once I'm in a trade for a while, if it's gone in my favor, especially if I'm gone to break even, my emotions are pretty much almost zero, to be honest. Of course, I do want it to keep going in my favor and hit my targets. But if I've got no risk on a position and I've been in it for a while, it's kind of old news, and I'm not really too bothered with the trade anymore, because I probably have another new trade I'm about to take, or something I'm monitoring which has most of my attention. Because something I've been in for a while, that's already risk-free. The market's doing its job, really. There's nothing for me to do there apart from managing it. So yeah, there's not a lot of motion there, to be honest. Of course, for another person, it might be the other way around. The longer they hold to a trade, the more emotional they get. Maybe that's the case for some other people, but for me, it's actually the opposite. I get less emotional. Because again, you're not looking to risk heavy as well. If you're risking, small portions of your capital as well, you're not going to see massive swings in your P&L like 30% with one single move. Of course, if that's the case, you would be pretty emotional. Who wouldn't? But if you're risking small portions of your capital, it's not going to be a massive game changer. If you do see a big swing on a trade, it's just kind of on to the next one sort of thing. But it's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question, but no, that is definitely not the case. How is DXY doing? Still respecting support there. So, I think the shorts still look good. The longs still look good for Euro, especially if you do get a pullback. The trend's still up. I know we're respecting highs right now, but I do think price is still likely to push higher and push through the level. Pound USD likewise as well. I know we're respecting highs right now. This is what I'm looking potentially for Pound USD. This is if I'm going to get short. I'm not saying I'm expecting this move to happen, but if we do, then yes, I would be looking bearish. At the moment, the market is definitely bullish. We are failing at highs right now, but momentum is clearly with buyers here, so we might have a bit of a dip with pound, but again, doesn't necessarily mean it's bearish. We very much could still continue higher. If I'm going to sell Pound USD, I need price to break the lows here. I did say early in the stream there might be some shorts at the top here. A bit more an aggressive trade. Again, you're going against momentum, but there could be a short-term opportunity there, especially if USD does gain some strength. Take some shorts off the back of that. Maybe a push back into the low end of the range there. That makes sense. Out of the USD pairs, USD CAD is definitely my preferred pair. Shorts off that double top. Like I said, I do like Aussie dollar as well. The shorts at the highs. Still quite a long way away from that, so staying relatively patient. There's not a lot for me to do until we can push back into that zone. But yeah, that's really where my focus will be for Aussie dollar. In terms of my focus for the rest of the week, really, it's really Aussie dollar shorts, USD CAD shorts, USD longs, the silver longs, and hopefully maybe some pullbacks in pound yen and euro yen. Yeah, that's pretty much it. and maybe pound NZD and pound Aussie if I can see some big breakouts. I haven't actually mentioned those pairs at all during the stream, I don't think. But there could be some nice breakouts for both pound Aussie and pound NZD. If they are going to continue their trend to the upside, then let's see if they do break to the upside, and then something like that could occur. If not, we're respecting that high in the range. We very much could push right back down. Likewise with pound Aussie, we do have somewhat of a range here, respecting the high at the moment, but if the trend is going to continue back to highs, I do want to see a strong break and then perhaps a retest for continuation. That would interest me for some longs as well, but again, we still need some development before I can find some trades there. Yusuf, no problem, happy to help. Thoughts on GJ? Okay. So yeah, pound yen I'm pretty bullish on. I do think there's a lot more upside to be had with pound yen. Unfortunately, it looks like I might have missed the move here. Are you asking for thoughts, by the way, on the 15-minute for GJ or the 4-hour? Let me know. In terms of the 4-hour, I've been looking for the retest of this zone here. But unfortunately, it looks like that boat has left the harbor. Train's left the station. I was looking for the retest of this zone here. Again, solid resistance, just a simple break and retest to continue momentum. It looks like price has created some support slightly higher up than I envisioned, not quite at my level. And of course, with the yen weakness this morning, looks like pound yen is flying. So maybe price does still come back to retest. Again, not going to rule that out completely. That could still very much happen. But my expectation is a push back to the swing high here at 199.5. So the way I see it, price is looking very bullish, and pound yen is likely to continue back to resistance. I'm just waiting to see if we get a pullback. Okay, on the 15-minute chart. So from a 15-minute perspective for GJ, yeah, I mean, we're pushing back into highs now. So this, of course, is our last swing low. So yeah, you would wait for another pullback for this one. The number one area I'd be looking at would be this consolidation. This is where we consolidated, and that's where we shot to the upside with a lot of momentum. Now that we've swept the highs, this is technically our last high or low in the market. So this would make sense for a buy. But yeah, there's a lot of momentum right now with pound yen. Maybe we're becoming a little bit more corrective with that last bullish leg, but there's momentum in the market. Strong move up there. Another high low. We just create new highs there as well. So a pullback would be sufficient. And then, of course, naturally a push back to highs. We do have 199.5, which is where we're working towards. But yeah, simply I would wait for a pullback. Nice range there for a retest. Hopefully some buys off the back of that. But yeah, no need to overcomplicate things here with pound yen. Just a very bullish market. You got momentum in the higher time frames in your favor now. I'll keep it simple. Just look for pullbacks, retest that range, and hopefully some buys off the back of that. If I look at the yen basket on the 15, pretty much looking at the same situation. So price is falling. Again, ideally, it would be nice for price to come back and retest the range there. It could be an area where a lower high does form and we see price continue lower. This is where I expect price to eventually get to, and of course a lot further as well. But that's naturally an area which you want to short from. So if you could see a pullback like that for the yen, then of course that naturally should give us the pullback for pound yen, and then some shorts on the yen basket, longs on the yen, pound yen should give you some nice opportunities. The only question is, will we have that pullback? Again, no idea. We might just still keep falling, but I wouldn't want to be shorting there anyway. So it's just a waiting game to see if we do get that pullback. And if we do, fantastic. Then we can find some shorting opportunities or some longs actually for the pound yen. But yeah, that's really where I'm at. I mean, the weakness is still in play. Consistent lower highs. I still would expect the yen to keep falling, and that should keep pound yen pretty bullish. And push to 200 looks like the likely bet. Yeah, and pound yen is a pair on my watch list, but I just have to wait to see if I can get the retest or not. Euro yen as well, pair on the watch list. I'll keep a close eye on both of them. Pretty much the same opportunity. Just waiting to see if I can get the pullback. Euro yen already looking bullish, but I have a bit of hope that we can still see the retest. Somewhat of like a bull flag opportunity. That would be very much appreciated if we can get another push down in the buy. But again, we'll have to wait and see. No retest there yesterday. So now we're just waiting to see if we can get the pullback into that zone soon enough. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the stream. I do really appreciate each and every one of you tuning in for another stream. If you have found it useful, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. If you have enjoyed the stream, drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or future uploads. Of course, check out the Discord channel to Elevating Traders. Check out the Telegram to Zentrix AI if you're looking to see what's going on with that project. If you're interested in learning a bit more about AI, how you could utilize that with your trading, creating trading bots, automated trading bots, strategies, indicators, looking to back test your strategy, refine a strategy, come up with new ideas, fundamental analysis, technical analysis, even sentiment analysis as well. If you're looking for that all under one platform, do keep an eye on Zentrix. I will post the Telegram link again in the chat, so definitely keep an eye on that. We'll be launching very, very soon, and definitely something you don't want to miss out on. But guys, do really appreciate you tuning into another stream. Have a great day, appreciate it, and of course I will be live again tomorrow, so I do hope to see each and every one of you there as well. So take care, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next stream.
Zentrix AI, the advanced AI-powered trading platform for every trader. Everything you need for trading success. Research, strategy, automation, all in one platform. Right strategies in plain language. We build the bots. Forex, crypto, stocks, futures, every market. Trade smarter, not harder. Zentrix AI.